Hi, friends. Welcome to the Wednesday LiveStream from Dulcimer Crossing. Earlier, we talked about playing bass in order to accompany a tune. What is it made of? What are the notes? Excuse me. A way to play the name of the chord and the fifth step of the chord as a way to alternate the bass. Today, we're going to talk about walking the bass. And this is something you've no doubt heard, whether or not you've used the language before. And so let me grab my dulcimer. So if I was to play a song, let's see. Joy to the world, the Lord is come. Let earth receive her King. And let's do this. So right now, all I'm doing is playing the name of the chord at the time while the chord is playing. And I can play at the beginning of the measure, middle of the measure. I can play every beat of the measure. Joy to the world, the Lord is come. Let earth receive her King. Let every heart prepare him room. And heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing. So that's an example of me playing a 3-chord song and playing the name of the chord, which is the open D, and then playing the name of the A chord on the 4th fret and the name of the G chord on the 3rd fret. Now, and then I was doing some alternating. So if I wanted to do this, that's playing the root and the fifth, or some people call it the 1 and the 5. So I was playing for D, I was playing D and A. For A, I was playing A and E, the E below A, but it's still the 5th step of the A scale. And then for G, I was playing G and D. Now, did you notice something there? This is the characteristic of a lot of music that when I'm in a particular key, both notes, the 1 and the 5, are going to be part of the scale that I would expect to have in the key of D. So the D chord is going to have an A and a D as fifths. The A chord is going to have an A and an E, both notes in the scale. The A note is part of the D chord and the A chord. The G and the D, both notes are part of the D scale, and the G scale or the G note and the D note are part of the D scale, but D is part of the G chord as well. So the 1, the 4, and the 5 chords, which show up in any key, are going to have 2 notes that are part of another. Each chord is going to have at least 1 note that's a part of another chord. That's a long way to get around saying what I was trying to say there. And let's see here if I can figure out. I'm looking at the wrong Facebook page. That's why I can't see. I was trying to see my live video to see if there's any questions or comments happening right now. And there were not, because I was looking at the wrong page. Okay, so now we want to talk about walking the bass. What does that mean? Well, between D and A, there are, and these are diatonic steps. There's no chromatic notes here. If I start at D, I have E, F sharp, G, and A. which are my steps to get from D to A. Da da dum bum ba da 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 dum bum bum da da dum bum ba 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 dum bum. So I can play any or all of those. Da da dum bum ba da 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 dum bum ba da 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 dum. So between the 1 chord and the 5 chord in any key, I have 0, which is the name of the chord we're watching or playing. E, F sharp, G, A. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I want to get to the new chord on the first beat of the next measure. Da da dum bum ba da 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 dum dum da 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 da. I'm sorry, I counted wrong, and that's the question about. Hey, Missy, good to see you. Da da dum bum ba da da dum bum bum ba da dum bum 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 ba dum bum. So what I did was play on the beats of the measure 1, 2, 3. 1 is an open fret, 2, 3, 4, and when I get to the next measure, I'm ready for the A chord. Da da dum bum ba da 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 dum 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 da da dum 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 da da dum. And now I'm doing the A chord, the 1 5 bum bum ba da 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 dum bum bum ba da dum bum 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 ba dum bum. When I walk back down from the A chord, I have the same amount of time, same amount of space and steps to touch. Oh, something different happened when I went to the G chord or the 4 chord. There's not as many steps. When I'm going from 0 to 4, 0 is one of the notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm ready for the next measure. 1, 2, 3, 4. New measure. But when I'm going to the 4 chord, I've only got D, E, F sharp, and I've got to get to G in time for the next measure. So ba-da-dum bum ba-da-da-dum bum bum ba-da-dum bum bum. Oh, if I'm going to the G, I better wait and not start on beat 1. Da-da-dum bum ba-da-da-dum bum bum ba-da-dum bum 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 ba-dum bum ba-da-dum bum ba-da-da-dum bum bum ba-da-dum bum 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 ba-dum bum ba-da-dum bum ba-da-da-dum bum bum ba-da-dum bum bum ba. Bum 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 ba-dum bum ba-da-dum bum ba-da-da-dum bum bum ba-da-dum bum 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 ba-dum bum. Go, them golden slippers, oh, them golden slippers, dum bum ba-dum bum bum ba-dum bum bum ba-dum ba. Ba 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 da ba ba ba. So I wait till 1 and 2 and 3, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Or if I'm not counting the ands and I'm counting quarter notes, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So because I have fewer notes, I have to wait a little bit longer in the measure. My goal is always to land in the beginning of the next measure on the beat of the song I'm playing, on the first beat of that measure. Now we're talking about what's happening in 4/4 time. Walking bass is typical in 4/4 time. So between 1 and 5 chord, I've got a whole measure to play and notes to play all the way through that. Between 1 and 4, I've got 1, 2, 3 notes. So I don't want to play on the first beat, right? When I'm walking between D and A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. When I'm going to the G chord or the 4 chord, I want to start a little later. I don't want to walk on 1, 2, 3, 4. So I hold 1, 2, and then walk on 3, 4. So that gets me from 1 to 5 and back, 1 to 4 and back. Now, how do I get from 4 to 5? Because there are songs that do that. Because I'm playing a diatonic instrument, I can go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. I just step back 1. And these are typical walking bass moves that happen. Because you're mine, I walk the line. I keep a close heart on this heart. Close watch on this heart of mine. Dee 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 dee. Dee 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 dee. Yeah, that'll work for. It's a little more complicated because I have to use the walking down to the A. And I've been talking about going up from the bass, but nice. So now where was I? I come from Alabama with a banjo. Come do 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 do. Nope, I'm changing songs. Let's see. Turkey in the straw. I'm back to golden slippers. It No, I'm back to golden slippers. I guess I'm fixated on the slippers today. Oops. It is. Yes, definitely an earworm. So when what I'm doing is using the one alternating bass and then walking when I can. From just to review, from 1 to 5, I have all these steps to walk through, and I just touch every step. When I'm going back down, I do the same thing. When I'm going from 1 to 4, and these are chords I'm talking about, I have to wait one. I have to hold a little longer because I only have 2 notes that I can use to get there. And when I'm going from the 4 chord to the 5 chord, I have to wait the same amount of time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I take one step back. And if I was going from the 5 chord to the 4 chord, I would do the same thing. I'd go up 1 and go back through the note I'm on to get there in time. Now let's do this on the hammered dulcimer. This is my my low D. I could play this A over here. Now, so I could either do it all on the bass bridge, or I could use my fifth over here and use two hammers. I could use one hammer. The idea is, because these are diatonic instruments that are laid out the way they are, I am just playing every step that's in the way. And so all I have to do is decide when I'm going to start in order to do that. Let's see. I'm back in the Golden Slippers. That one acts a little differently. Let's see. I come from Alabama with a banjo on my knee, and I'm going to banjo on my knee. That one's different because the A chord changes in the middle of the measure, and I'm on there because it's the 5. Golden slip ups. Oh, that's good. I like that. But what I'm hoping to illustrate here, besides the fact that I can get stuck on a song and the earworm has burrowed its way in, is that it is not unapproachable for us on dulcimers to play bass lines. It doesn't matter which instrument we're playing. We can play the mountain dulcimer, we can play the hammer dulcimer. This dulcimer only has an extra 6.5 fret. This one doesn't have any extra frets at all. And can also play a bass line. So Arkansas Traveler, syncopating a walking bass line. I do not know of anybody who says what they're doing is syncopating in a walking bass line. It could be swung a little bit. So if I was playing Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound. The say, because this is a waltz. Saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see. So the emphasis in a 3/4 song is on the first beat of the measure. So there's a hold and then sometimes a little swingy da 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 before you get to the next chord. So that I would hear that happens. In reggae, the bass line is very is a dum doo doo ba doo 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 dum ba dum ba doo 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 doo. There's a lot of funk music that ba da 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 da. That has syncopation built into the line. So there's some funk that will definitely have a syncopated bass line. Folk music, not so much. Well, let's see. Willowfjord is a Shetlands tune, or Orkney. I can't remember Orkney or Shetlands. Way north islands between Scotland and Norway. Ba, ba, da, 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 da. So there are a couple of songs that have a syncopated moment in the song, but that wouldn't be the bass line separate from the rest of the tune. Silent Night, when I did this series for Dulcimer Players News, so there was one place in there for a walk. But what the bass line is doing is giving a foundation. The hidden thing it's doing is for ear players, it's pointing in the direction of the next chord we're going to be going to. And that's why the walking bass in an ensemble is very helpful. Because if you have no written music and you're playing along with everyone else and you hear the bass line start walking sooner, they're probably headed to the 5 chord. So that's the one you can anticipate is coming next. If they wait a while before they start walking, it's probably going to the 4 chord. Now, usually, this is not the same. Let me think of an example. There's a gospel hymn. There is power, wonder working power in the blood of the Lamb. There is power, wonder working power in the precious blood of the Lamb. But when I play that on the piano, that's one of those places I hear a walking gospel, jazz, certainly. Jazz, the bass player will often outline chords using arpeggios. There is power, power, wonder-working power in the blood of the Lamb. There is power, power, wonder-working power in the precious blood of the Lamb. So I used a lot of chromatic notes when I was playing that. And Boogie Woogie, the Boogie Woogie bass. Where's that cable coming from? Should not have a cable under my feet. Boogie Woogie bass is doing that arpeggiating of the chord. So, and those are some examples of when that happens. It's a great question, though, at least from a theoretical perspective. But what I'd like you to do is start listening to bass lines and listening to how people are playing. It can be any genre of music. Just listen to what's happening in the bass line and see how that helps you understand what's going on in the rest of the ensemble. Because that's one of the functions of playing bass. Well, that's what I have for us today. I hope your Dulcimer world is very rich and full this season. The quarantine concerts are coming up the last Sunday and Monday before Christmas. I have a concert coming up not this week, but next week. And then we're looking forward into the new year to Mark Allen Wade's O'Carolyn workshop with us. We had a wonderful time with Aubrey Atwater's A Very Richie Christmas last week. And so that was very exciting. Six very interesting and some familiar, some unusual tunes from the Ritchie family tradition in Eastern Kentucky that Aubrey learned and has been sharing now on behalf of the family, but learned from the family. So next week, we're going to talk about all the numbers. So that's what's coming. What are all these numbers doing in music? And if you're like me, you may wish they're not there, but if you're like me, you may be glad they're there too. So I hope you have a wonderful week, and I'll see you next time.